Hello, hello, party people, or should I say howdy, howdy, party people. This is your man, Jack Bigadoo, here in Texas. I got my cowboy hat on. You all know we moving. Uh, it's Monday, and this Monday sucks less because I got my hat on. I don't pull this hat out often. This is my favorite cowboy hat. For you guys who don't know, in my past life, I was a cowboy, but I don't talk about it often because I don't want to brag. But it's Monday. Monday suck. If you're here and you're following me, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you're even on Twitter. We have an amazing show today. Our guest is, legendary in the whiskey community. He's involved in more places than you know. May have seen this brand somewhere, and we can't wait to tell you all about it. But this show doesn't happen without the man, the myth, the legend, the one-time champion of the knockouts, my man, Timmy. Timmy.
You and your fucking hat, man. I can't. I can't.
This is it. This is it. I don't know if the people are here, but I need to announce it. I know people never see me in a hat before.
I threw a post up on Instagram.
You
Oh
did?
man, you are that's why I was muted and you saw my mouth muting because I was
Yeah.
making a video.
No, I'm gonna do
Oh
a
my
quick thing
God,
because
dude,
somebody
kill
just
me.
asked me, where is Monday Suck not happening? And I'm like, it is happening.
It's happening. I
It is
swear.
happening. We are here. I'm gonna let me see a quick story, and I'm gonna tell the people. All right, Monday Sucks is happening right now on YouTube, Facebook, or your favorite place. I'm wearing my cowboy hat. You want to come and see what's going on with my cowboy hat? All
There
right,
we go.
party people.
Ugh.
We are here. The party's about to start. Tim, how was your week? And did your Monday suck, or
Um,
did he not?
week was week was shitty. Week was long and drawn out. I've been packing. My whole damn house.
Packing sucks. Period.
Packing's terrible. Packing's terrible. I
Yeah,
got
packing
maybe
is not
halfway
for
through my
people.
bar. I got maybe halfway through my bar packed. Um, the house is probably a fourth packed, and we move on the 28th. Um, dealing with some personal shit. Everyone's dealing with some personal shit, so I'm not going to go into detail. But Monday definitely sucks a whole lot less, and I'll tell you why. Because I got a little bit of this in my glass.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But today we have
Seven Jack
better
squared.
things.
This is fabulous, but
Yeah,
we have some next level stuff. But this is what I'm
correct.
sipping on right now because I only have a little bit of what we're going to talk about. So I
You
want to
wanna
save
you wanna
that.
make sure you
I
enjoy
want
every sip.
abso-freaking-lutely. So I gotta savor that. So I got a little bit of this guy until we can get over to that. So I think we should get right into that because I'm looking forward
Absolutely.
to
If you're
playing with
here,
this.
if you are here, we have an amazing guest on. We have him for the hour. He's gonna be here. He's gonna be chatting with us. He is gonna be telling us a bunch of stuff about his whiskey. If you have questions, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer. They're very transparent in what they do. They make their state proud in the whiskey industry. He's the one who started it all, but with his whole family. And that's why when you look at the brand, you always see the word brothers, and brothers mean a
Mm.
lot. His name is Dan. Dan with a plan. The man himself. It's Dan Garrison. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, got a quick
I don't know
question.
if you know, but we look like we twins.
Yeah, before we jump in, during your rodeo career, how many bulls did you ride?
Those were African histories. It's very, very hazy. We don't have real numbers. I can't
Okay.
really remember because I knocked my head too many times, so I can't
Okay.
I can't really remember. But I know I did well.
Well, I can't say that I've ever ridden a bull either, but I will ride a horse there every once in a while.
Craziest thing is bowls. Usually, you only found them because I drove from Houston to Lubbock, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were driving through, I saw so many ranches, right? And I'm like, okay. Funny thing is, it reminded me of Northern Africa because they have a lot of nomads. All of them have bulls and cow that they're traveling with. So I'm like, this part of Texas just remind me of Northern Africa. there's cattle everywhere.
Well, I get to play real cowboy in about 2 weeks. I've got a bunch of Texas Longhorns, and one of them just gave birth to my first bull. And so we're going to take him and go get him castrated, and I'm going to get to really play cowboy to try to get him into the cattle trailer to get him up to the veterinarian. Am I going to snip his nuts myself? Hell no.
No, I don't think that would work. So Dan, you're here representing, I would say, your work, your baby. You one of the most known name in the whiskey industry. I've discovered you guys personally about 2.5 years ago, and since then, I think I'm only missing 2 of your expression because I couldn't drive myself down to your distillery to get those. But tell us about this magnificent brand, Texas Pride, called Garrison Brothers.
So that's the workhorse for our business. Our small batch bourbon whiskey, which is what that is, that's 94 proof. We distributed over 100,000 cases of that this year across America in 40 states and 7 foreign countries. And
did you say 100,000 cases?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good grief! Wow.
I mean, 100,000 cases. I mean, 1/3 of that Texas only.
I misspoke. I'm so sorry. 100,000 bottles, not cases.
Bottles.
Okay.
So 100,000 bottles.
That's still impressive, though.
I was about to say, after this show, Dan, you need to adopt me. If you sold 100,000 cases, I need new
milestone for us. We're very proud of that. That's 94 proof. That's a minimum of 4-year-old bourbon whiskey when we sell it.
That's the small batch.
And that comes from a range of barrels that are located in different barns all over our property. I think it's the best tasting bourbon I've ever tasted. And then from there, we have to top it. Our goal every year is to make the highest quality, finest tasting bourbon whiskey in the world. So we're not going to release anything else unless we think that something's more flavorful than a small batch bourbon whiskey. And typically it's going to be more expensive, except for the Honeydew, which is my wife's bourbon, and I can tell you that story later on. The Honeydew is line priced with the small batch, so you typically find it $79 to $89, depending on where you are in the country.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the process of Garrison Brothers. I walk in. Is it, I know the answer, but for the audience, is this source whiskey or is it whiskey that you guys are making with Texas grain?
So let me tell you about the Garrison Brothers experience, if you will. We want you to come visit our distillery. Our distillery is located in the middle of the Texas Hill Country, we call it. They're not hills by anybody else's standards, but they're hills by our standards. And it's green, it's verdant, lots of live oaks everywhere. It looks a little bit like Southern California out there. We do about 25,000, 30,000 visitors a year to the distillery who come out and take tours. We do tours Tuesday through Saturday at 10 noon, 2 and 4. But you don't have to take a tour. We've got this huge hospitality area. The ranch is 68 acres, and the first part of the ranch is about 10 acres. It's nothing but beautiful live oak trees and old rockers and fire pits in the winter, so you can light a fire and roast s'mores and roast marshmallows. And it's real laid back. We have hot chocolate for the kids. We have cider for cider and bourbon for the adults. We have a restaurant and bar there called the Whiskey Shack, and you can order cocktails to go from the Whiskey Shack, or you can order some amazing food. My chef, Jack McDonald, is an absolute stud and can do anything. He's now serving rabbit, and he's serving quail. He's serving all sorts of interesting things that you would only find in the Texas.
So things you can find in Texas.
Absolutely. He's a local guy and likes to use local produce, and he does it really, really well. We also like to reach out to local farmers because there's a lot of farmers in our area. So after you spend a couple hours in the hospitality area, you can come up and take a tour, which is at the top of the hill, and it's about a half mile from the hospitality area. And we drive you up on what we call the Hill Country Hayride, which is a trailer towed by a Jeep and it's like a Jurassic Park Jeep with our logo all over it, that kind of shit. And it's a hell of a lot of fun. You'll meet everybody that you are on the trailer with. We handle about 25 people on each trailer, and you'll get to know them. And by the end of the day, everybody's best friends. They're all exchanging email addresses and phone numbers, and they're planning on when they're going to come back and visit us again. The distillery tour takes about an hour and a half. We have about 9 barrel barns on the property. You get to see some of the barrel barns. We're building a 28,000 square foot rick house and visitor center for the beginning of the tour. We have a cookhouse, which is where we cook all the corn, wheat, barley that we use. We have a still house, which has 5 massive Vendome brass and copper work stills that are beautiful to see. We polish those stills religiously once a year so we can keep them shining like a pretty copper penny.
Mm-hmm.
We have an original rick house where we do events and parties. We could do weddings for up to 150 people. We'll bring in noted chefs from all over the country who come in and they cook with bourbon, and they drink bourbon while they cook. And everything's 5-star service. When you sit down at a table at Garrison Brothers in our barrel barn, all the dishes will arrive simultaneously by black-clad waiters who really know what they're doing. So we try to give people a real upscale experience, and I think everybody rates Garrison Brothers as a real a good deal. We don't overcharge people. You can buy bottles in our gift shop the exact same price that you can buy them at a retailer, a local retailer, because we support our trade and we don't want to undercut them in any way, shape, or form, because they are the guys that sell our bourbon across the country. So we work very closely with them to make sure our prices are right in line with theirs, and we're not undercutting anybody.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, if this is the baseline for what we're going to drink the rest of the night, son of a bitch. This tastes like a stroop waffle with raisins that were soaked in whiskey dripped on top of it, man. This is fucking incredible.
This is good.
This is the first time I've ever had the small batch. I'm already in love. So if this is the baseline, watch out, man.
Well, I'm excited.
It has a beautiful nose, very, very beautiful nose. And we had one question here. Somebody asked, where exactly in Texas, if you don't mind repeating that.
By all means, yeah. We're located in High, Texas, which is right between Johnson City and Fredericksburg, Texas, about an hour and 30 minutes west of Austin.
Okay, perfect.
Every time they put in a new stoplight on Highway 290 out of Austin, it increases your distance, your time of travel for another 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful nose. This is the base of your whiskey. 40, coming at 47, 94 proof. Corn, a lot is very creamy on the nose. This is the base of your whiskey.
Honey, maple.
From what you just said, you
sugar,
guys are making the whiskey. You guys are making the whiskey there.
We've never sourced anything. We never will.
Okay. I love that. One of the things, so this new rick house that you guys are building, 28,000 square foot on the rick house. One of the reasons why I never actually ventured, right, and a lot of people that I had conversation with ventured into Texas whiskey is because it always came out sharp, very sharp on the taste bud. But there's something that you guys are doing obviously differently that is making this whiskey a little much, I don't want to use the word smooth, but round and coat your mouth perfectly to go down. So can you tell me a little bit about your aging process? Because that heat in Texas is always what scared me, and a lot of few people. I live here in the Midwest in Nebraska. It's like, oh, I don't want to try Texas whiskey. It's like, no, you should give it a try because I love Garrison Brothers, but I don't think I found another whiskey in Texas that did not give me that a little too sharp.
Yeah, so we were actually the first bourbon whiskey in Texas, but nobody would buy our bottles because it was priced so damn high. It was priced so damn high because the production process was ridiculously expensive. We swore from day one, our mission statement from day one has been to produce the highest quality, finest tasting bourbon in the world, and I truly believe we are doing that today. Most Texas whiskeys today are sourced product from Indiana or from Kentucky, and or they're being released while they're way too young. You know, maybe just a year old, or even I've seen some that have a label that says that they're just 4 to 6 months old, and that's just not enough time. There's a process that happens called a sterification, and typically a sterification, when you see a straight bourbon on the market, it is going to be a minimum of 2 years old. It has to be by law, and the reason that straight bourbons are so important is that the sterification process happens. And that's when the molecules in the alcohol combine with the sugars from the wood, and they basically gelatinize. And all of a sudden, it goes from being harsh and burning when you drink it down to being rich and creamy and buttery, as you described. And that's what Garrison Brothers has always done. We age our bourbons a minimum of 4 years, because in the Texas heat, that's the magic number. At 4 years of age, all of those molecules have esterified, and it's absolutely delicious. It becomes creamy and buttery. And what most people say is, "Oh my God, that's rich, and it's got a texture to it and a mouthfeel unlike anything else on the market." And I really truly believe that. I mean, I've been in love with Buffalo Trace products my entire life. Blanton's, George T. Stagg, I love those bourbons. They've always been my favorites, and I had to make something better than that. That was my mission, and I truly believe we have. I love Mark Brown, and I love Buffalo Trace, and a lot of them. He's a friend. Elmer T. Lee was one of my mentors back in the day, so I love those people. I just got to come back from Kentucky 2 weeks ago, but I'll tell you about that in another part of the segment.
Yeah. So, funny thing is, what do you guys use? Do you guys use the same cycle heating system as Kentucky does, or because of your heat, you almost have to do it, like have to regulate your warehouse?
Everything we do, we refer to as redneck engineering. How are
redneck engineer? Tell me more about that. I'm gonna literally put that in a comment. I'm gonna put it as a banner because that's a new term on Monday Sucks.
Yeah, all of
we call it
bottling
redneck engineering. If I can spell the word engineering.
All of our bottling is done by volunteers, and we couldn't afford a bottling line. It was well over $250,000, and so we called a whole bunch of rednecks and said, "Hey, come on out, and we're gonna smoke you a brisket, and we're all gonna eat brisket for lunch, and we'll give you bourbon every 30 minutes throughout the day, a shot of bourbon to keep you motivated throughout the day." And that's what redneck engineering is all about. In fact, we call our bottling line the Redneck Maquiladora, which is a production facility down on the border in Mexico. And everything we've done, from our piping, our plumbing, to our electrical, is redneck engineered, and we're very proud of that. We have absolutely no idea what we're doing, but we do it anyway, and we never call an outside consultant. We never call for help when we have a problem. We just figure it out ourselves. If a very complicated piece of equipment, such as a steam boiler, goes down, we take it down and we set the screws aside, and we set the washers aside, and we set the bolts aside, and then we rebuild that son of a bitch from the ground up. And everybody gets together and watches so that we all learn from it, so we don't have to go out and hire outside consultants to get this shit done.
Wow.
The only consultant we have that we really rely on, because we blew up a number of boilers in our day, is our water guy. Our water guy comes out and tests all of our boiler water to make sure that it has the right consistency, it has the right elements and chemicals in it to keep the boilers in good shape. Because blowing up a boiler is not a pretty sight. It's scary as hell. And
that thing is dangerous. It's quite dangerous.
It sure is.
So let's talk about, as we are talking about area and terroir. Obviously, you're using Texas corn, and I don't know if you have a proprietary mash bill, but can you disclose the mash bill of your whiskey?
74% corn. All the corn comes from farms in Pearsall, Texas, and we know those farmers personally. 15% soft red winter wheat. Red winter wheat, the Blackfoot Prairie region up near Fort Worth. The barley comes from Texas today. In our early days, we had to import barley from Montana and Wyoming because we couldn't get high quality barley in Texas that was malted. And today there's a great group we work with called Tex Malt, that grows and malts all of our barley for us. So it all comes from
what was that was 74% corn.
74-15.
15 wheat, 11% barley.
So you're a weeded bourbon.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
they are weeded bourbon. He said he's a
Son of
Buffalo Trace fan, so
Son of
you
a
expect
bitch.
him to have some weeded bourbon.
Yeah, I've loved weeded bourbon since I was 13 years old, so that's all I've ever really enjoyed.
Wow.
But the
And are you using a yellow corn, a white corn?
It's a white corn. We used yellow corn on our very first year of operation, and then we accidentally were shipped an organic #1 white corn, #1 in food grade as opposed to feed grade, and our fermentation results were crazy better. It went from 16% sugar at the end of the fermentation to 22% sugar using this new corn.
Wow.
And we said, hell no, we are not going back to that yellow dent stuff. We're gonna go with white corn. And
So that was a total accident then.
Oh, a total accident. It's redneck engineering.
Redneck engineering.
I fucking love that.
Somebody asked, first year of operation. When did you start Garrison Brothers?
First year of operation. So I started the business back in 2002. And what I mean by started is I started writing the business plan. I started trying to analyze how bourbon is produced in Kentucky, and went up there several times to meet with my heroes, the legends of bourbon, and to learn from them. Dave Pickerel, Bill Samuels Jr., Elmer T. Lee. Those were the guys. Jimmy and Eddie Russell. Those were the guys. I wanted to get firsthand knowledge from them, and they were kind enough to share information with me. I mean, I can remember guys writing recipes down on napkins over lunch in a cafe in Bardstown, and I'm like, "Are you shitting me? You're actually giving me a recipe for?" They won't tell you what the brand is that the recipe is for, but it'll align with my flavor profile, which was Blanton's all the way, 100% Blanton's, and that was a really cool experience. And I can't remember the question now, but I'm probably veering off.
First year of operation, 2002.
But my first year of technical, actual true production was in 2006. I did not have this pesky little piece of paper called a federal permit to distill alcohol, but my still manufacturer shipped me a still that I could use for testing. And so I started testing it. I was actually putting barrels aside.
Yeah, you tested and put in barrels. Yeah.
TTB.
That's how you gotta that's the best way to test it out, man.
Pretty sure the statute of limitations is right on it. So I actually started producing in 2006, sold my first bottle in 2010 at 3 liquor stores in Blanco and Gillespie counties in Texas. And today, like I said, we're at 40 states and 7 foreign countries and killing it. And we're actually going to turn a profit next year with it for the first time in our 17-year history.
Wow. Absolutely. Make sure you invite me to come celebrate that.
Oh, for sure.
Something about
any chance? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Something about your design is quite particular. You see this bottle on the shelf and you recognize it immediately. The 4 corn, obviously the star, the way the bottle was designed. Can you tell us more about how this design came about? Somebody was asking here, what do you see? Is there a type of whiskey that cannot be made in Texas? No, that's not the question. This is the question. What was behind the massive, heavily bottle and some of the design? It seemed like there's a lot of history there because every corner, that's the first thing I've actually seen on the bottle. Every corner of Garrison Brothers have a corn on each side of it. Obviously, there's a almost saloon type of style around the bottle itself. But something interesting is it born and bred in Hay, Texas. That's
It's high Texas.
Texas. Okay. High Texas.
Which is why
I only know one place is Paris, Texas, because I'm French. So
the reason that we had to eventually make a rye bourbon, which we did, which is called High Rye, because we're in a town called High, H-Y-E. So you're damn straight we're going to make a high rye bourbon at some point. And we did it, and I loved it. I was shocked. In fact, I've got 1 bottle left. I originally had 3, and I'm shocked at how good it was. It was very sweet. Rye takes
Was
a
it
lot.
was it sold? The
It
high
was
rye?
sold as a distillery release only. It wasn't
We
distributed.
we gonna talk about this distillery release only thing you do, Dan. That's not the question, but we gonna come back and talk about that because every time because I follow you guys religiously and obviously get all your update. Every time I see that distillery release, I say, "Damn it, Dan! I can't drive down there." And I see people have their RVs and bodega. Every people bring their family, like
It's
they're
hilarious.
I remember the first time you guys launched the next bourbon we're going to talk about. I saw pictures of a line so long.
Yeah.
Y'all literally had to put a restriction on people to
2
actually
miles.
come in.
2 miles of trucks.
Yes,
Crazy.
2 miles. I saw the picture. I say, are you shitting me? People are waiting in this Texas heat for that long.
So
And,
here's the fun part, Jack, is that the night before the release, there have been cars and trucks there from all over the country, and they've been there for 2 days. And so they're living out of their RV or their truck and sleeping in their truck. So my dad and I, the night before, will go take them pizzas or cheeseburgers and feed everybody along the road. And we'd be driving our little ATV down the road, handing out cheeseburgers and shots of bourbon.
I'm telling you, it's probably the most shocking thing I've seen in any distillery release. Obviously, you guys are, very, very hospitable and you're very kind. But it became, not to put words in your mouth, but it's now a tradition. People look forward to those distillery release.
It's and we all love it. And it's family. I know them all. I know all the people in line. They know me by name, and I know them by name. It's become kind of it's like tailgating at a college football game, and everybody's all set up. They got their barbecue pits working, and they're eating and drinking and having a good time. And even the county sheriff's office will patrol the road and make sure nobody's getting in trouble. And between you and me, the county sheriff really likes good bourbon. So it's a symbiotic relationship, to be sure.
You use the right words, a symbiotic relationship.
Your original question came down to the bottle design.
To the bottle design, because each single one of your bottles have the same thing, but something always happened in the star and in around it. In the first one, your original small batch, we have corn all around the star. In the honeydew, which is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about, we got little bees and elderflowers around there.
Yep.
Then obviously in the Balmoral, we have little beautiful. They remind me of a old cowboy stone on belts. That's what it reminds me of.
Like turquoise.
And there's grapes around it. So tell us a little bit about design. What inspired it?
So I think, unfortunately, you're breaking up a little bit, Jack, and we may be losing your signal. But I heard the question and what inspired the design. There was an 1895 Jack Daniel's bottle that had this rectangular shape to it. And it was one of the first Jack Daniel's bottles, pre-prohibition, of course. And it was squared off. Everything was squared off. And it wasn't, it was made from glass. It was one of the first glass bottles ever introduced. And I fell in love. I used to be a whiskey bottle collector. I used to buy rare old bottles online all the time. And I just loved the shape of it. And it had the exact same shape as we have here today. And then in about 2017, we decided that those bottles were a little bit bland. They looked kind of like an antique thing, something you'd purchase at an antique store, but they weren't shouting out. And my wife was the biggest complainer about it, because you could go to a bar and you look behind the bar and you couldn't see where the Garrison brothers were. So then we came up with the color idea, and we said, okay, let's give every brand a unique, badass looking color that'll shine from the bar, and people will go, hey, what's that? And sure enough, that worked. Then we brought the star, and we had to have the Texas star. The Lone Star State is very, it means a lot to us to be from Texas, and we're proud of it. And then we blew up the Garrison Brothers name. It used to be this cursive script type writing, and we blew it up to make it bolder and larger so that you could see the actual brand name. And we wanted each brand to have its own unique style. So you've got the band around it, which is symbolic to the Texas belt buckle. That was the idea behind that. And then the star, of course, is multicolored based on the color of the bottle. So it worked, you know. I was scared shitless because we spent a fortune coming up with this. And we probably spend more money on our glass. But I remember back in the day when I was interviewing people before I got into the business, one of the people that I read about was John Paul DeJoria at Patron. And he was criticized by a writer for the expense of his bottle that had all those gold clusters in glass. And John Paul said, customers will pay more for something that's art.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I have an old original Patron bottle, and I like those even better than the new one because they were all handwritten.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm not sure they're talking about echo. I want to make sure we're okay.
Hey Dan, so you were saying how your product is around 4 years old. Is there any chance or any thought about doing a bonded product, or are you just gonna kind of stay in where you're at? I'm a huge bonded fan, so that's why I'm asking.
That conversation is ongoing, and you could actually see a bottled in bond product before the end of 2022.
Ooh, okay.
Can't make any promises, but
that's fine. Hey, as long as the conversation's being had, man, I'm happy about that. That's great.
You're getting a few compliments here, Dan. Apparently, your New York rep is amazing. Erin is the best.
She is the best. She's the coolest thing since sliced bread. I absolutely love Erin, and I worship.
Sean has a huge liquor store down in New York, and he's one of our favorite on the show. Get most of my things from him, and I will tell you right now, if he says somebody's good, they're good. They're good at what they do.
She's my kid sister. I love her dearly, and I get to go work the market with her a couple of times a year. My daughter also lives in New York, so I love that area of the country. I lived in New York for 4 years after college, actually. So my daughter had to show me up and go up and beat my sorry ass and make more money in the first year in New York than I ever made in New York.
Now let's talk about the most popular of your whiskey.
Are we moving on? Okay, I'm still in love with the small batch over here.
This is the most popular of your whiskey.
I'll tell you,
this is the most talked about.
I love honey and I love bourbon, so we're gonna put those two things together. Let's go.
So I don't know what in the heck you guys did here because I was scared the first time you guys talked about it. When he came to it, I'm like, I am not a low proof whiskey guy. I do not want low proof. I don't want it to be anywhere lower than 100. So this was actually taking a chance because I know, the quality of product y'all were bringing out. And I said, you know what? From what I'm reading, because you guys, one thing I have to give you guys, transparency. I know the history of the honey. You guys said a little bit where he came from. And I'm like, you know what? I got seasonal allergies. I always have local honey. I'm going to give this a chance and see what's going on. And boy, I will tell you right now, number one bottle for me to have neat and smoke a cigar with.
Oh, that's good. Dan, that's tasty, man.
So Dan, tell the people why the honeydew. The honeydew also is the reason why I knew that people will spend 3 days in front of your distillery because I believe the first release of the honeydew was distillery only before it hit the market.
It was.
And I saw so many cars. I started wondering. I said, what is Dan doing in there in Texas for these people to have their RV? I mean, I follow a lot of people on my Instagram. A lot of my followers were posting about them in their RV at Garrison Brothers. I'm like, you guys don't even live in Texas. Oh, you just came here. You just want the release. I'm like, it can't be that good. Or was I wrong? It is that good.
Are y'all married?
Yeah, I have a partner, and he's married. Yes.
So then you know what a honeydew list is, right?
Oh
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm,
Oh
mhm.
yeah.
So my
I
wife
believe
has been bitching at me for 17 years to make a honey-flavored liqueur. I'm sorry, encouraging me for 17 years to make a honey-flavored liqueur.
Now you corrected yourself. Encouraging.
And I said, we don't do liqueurs. All we make is bourbon. So I fought it. And then one day, my master distiller, Donis, pulled me aside. Donis Todd, by the way, is the best bourbon maker in America. I'll put him up against anybody. And Donis said, Dan, I've got an idea. And I said, well, what's that? And he said, I want you to send me to this conference up in Nashville called the National Honey Board Association. And I want to learn how to make honey-infused bourbon whiskeys. Remember, that's not honey sweetened. That's not adding honey to it. That's not making a honey liqueur. I want to figure out how to do a honey-infused bourbon. And he comes back, and he's got this wild plan. He's going to take all of the barrels of 4-year-old bourbon, and he's going to chop them up into these little cubes. And they're literally 1 inch by 1 inch. And he chops them all up with an axe. And he throws all of these cubes into a 55-gallon drum of Burleson's Natural Wildflower Honey, the oldest honey company in Texas. Stacy and I have been friends for a long time, and Burleson's is a really cool company. We've always looked for something to do together. So these cubes soaked in that honey for 6 months. And then Donis pulled all the cubes out and let them dry completely. And then he made a cheesecloth tea bag with the cubes inside the tea bag, and he dipped the tea bag of honey into 4-year-old bourbon, the same bourbon from which these barrel chips came to begin with, and he dipped them in there every single day, just one little dip. And then he kept tasting it every single day for 6 months. And finally he came to me and he handed me a little dram and said, taste this. And I nosed it and I went, oh, get a little honey off the nose. And he said, now drink it. And I drank it, and sure enough, there was honey in the aftertaste. There was no sweetness, there was no stickiness like all those nasty ass commercial honey brands. It was delicate, and it was light, and it was flavorful. And I said, Jesus Christ, brother, you just hit a home run, and let's go to market. And then we started concepting what the bottle would look like and what the name would be, and that was kind of easy. It was my honeydew. So that's the story behind honeydew, and I think it's absolutely delicious. And
I will tell you right now, every time I drink this bottle, I want to come down there. That's literally how I feel. And
I gotta find some of this shit. This is delicious.
It is the only low proof whiskey that I will.
And when y'all come visit, I'll introduce you.
I'm gonna come down. Unfortunately, I'm coming to Texas, but I'll be in Dallas. I know you're 4 hours away from Dallas, but if I can, I'm driving down to come see you.
Love to show it off for you.
This is this right here. I remember I was having a rough day beginning of this year, and I was sitting outside, and I didn't want to drink anything very strong. And for all of you guys who don't know, then I'm gonna plug you right quick. For all of you guys who don't know, this right here is a Garrison Brothers cigar. For you cigar smokers, I would tell you right now, this right here is a very good cigar. It was a lunch mid-year, beginning of the mid-year. It was right about June, I think, that I saw the email come through, and I actually grabbed a few of this. And I was like, you know what? Just receive this cigar. I'll be outside. It was a little chilly. And the honeydew have always been a cocktail thing. I have a friend of mine here called Andrew. Andrew work at a fancy bar, so he does a lot of cocktails with the honeydew, and he love it during the summer. He's like, you need to try this Garrison Brothers with this honey thing. And crazy thing, he's the one who got me this bottle. Told me, hey, you have to have it. Didn't open it. Open it in June. Obviously, you can tell. There's nothing left.
Hey, can you hold that bottle up one more time?
Absolutely.
Put it a little closer to the camera. I'm trying to read the name of the bottle. That's Russell Hartman. Russell Hartman is our all-around cowboy.
That's Russell.
Yeah, only our distillers are allowed to sign bottles.
Yeah, that's Russell.
So I keep this bottle because I truly, it was a moment of me, and I don't know. I truly believe that whiskey feels even better when emotions are attached to it. And it was just a rough day, and I got this. Light up your cigar, and I will tell you, I was about 3 to 4 drams in before I realized that I was actually having any whiskey. I was in my thought, and it just took me to a beautiful place. So thank you all for doing this. This actually is amazing. If you never had the Garrison Brothers, the I'm gonna show you all the bottle, the Honeydew, this yellow bottle that you cannot miss. You can't miss it on the shelf. It is
Dan, is this
slowly.
the same? Is it the same 74, 15, 11 baseline as the small batch?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell from the nose. The nose will tell you that there's something specific. That malt that you guys use make this chewy, almost chewy to the point where on the nose, as you nose it in the back of your palate, you almost want to chew on it. So,
well, thank you for the kind comments. I'm very proud of it. My wife's very proud of it. Our second best selling brand is got her name on it, so she's very proud of it. We call her the queen bee around the store.
yes, yes, absolutely. So, for all of you guys here, Garrison Brothers, Honeydew, that's what you're drinking tonight. You're saying it's almost an easy sipper. You can't go wrong with that. And you guys are obviously using local, right? Local honey.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with this. And I feel like you guys, and then I don't know, this redneck engineering works really well because you guys always incorporate things of the terroir with things that you're doing to make sure that people can relate, and always making Texas proud. And that that is as proud as you can be ever in the brand.
Jack,
Now let's go to
it
things
means
that I'm excited about.
It means a lot that you studied us so diligently and know so much about us. That means a lot. So thank you.
Hey
I'm
Dan,
a fanboy.
I got a couple of questions while we're still on this too, because you were talking about. I mean, you've learned from some freaking icons, some whiskey legacies, and you brought up John Paul DeJorio, who I have a background with too. Is I'm actually a licensed barber and a licensed cosmetologist that I went through Paul Mitchell, and the Patron line was also a really big line of Paul Mitchell's brand as well. Is there any influence through some of the people that you've learned iconically on your brand and in your bottle? Because if you know, like, so the Patron line, they have the little bee, and the little bee on your bottle, on your Honeydew, it looks kind of similar. Is there any influence from there, or is it just a coincidence?
I had no idea that Patron had a beeline, so there's no influence there at all.
Okay.
I've never heard of that.
I think is it on their añejo?
It's on all their bottles. There's a little,
Okay.
there's a little bee on it. Mm-hmm.
Really? Did not know that.
Yep.
So John Paul lives in Austin, and our business went through holy hell in 2015 and 2016. We could not raise any money. All of the sourced whiskey brands and all of the non-bourbons hit the market all at the same time because everybody decided I had a really good idea and they wanted to follow that path. So all of a sudden, the bourbon aisle at your local liquor store went from 35 brands of bourbon, and there was only one Texas bourbon on there, and it was mine. And within that 1 year in 2015, there were hundreds of them, and they all had rattlesnake labels, and they all had all the things trying to make them look like they were from Texas. And our sales went to shit. And frankly, there were so many different competitors out there. The market was flooded. And I was in deep, deep shit. I mean, I had to lay 2 people off who were near and dear to the company who I loved very much. And I had to cut back on costs and production and just to survive. And one of the people that I approached as a potential partner was John Paul. And he was kind enough to read my business plan. But I think at that point in his life, he decided that it wasn't worth the risk. I mean, of course, he sold Patron 3 years later. So he wanted to get out, and I totally respect that. You know, everybody's got to have an exit strategy. And I don't think he wanted to get sucked into my life. I asked some other prominent Texas liquor people if they would come to my aid. And then in 2017, everything turned around. All the sourced whiskeys stopped selling, and nobody could sell them, and the liquor stores couldn't sell them, and the producers started to disappear. And our bourbon had this amazing resurgence in 2017, which happens to correspond at the same time that we did this new label design. So
Got it.
that was a good, bold marketing move on our part, and I give full credit to my marketing director, Rob Cordes, who managed the program and did an amazing job creating this new look and feel for us. And all of a sudden today, we're at a point where we're selling all over the country and looking at a potential profit next year. So we are so blessed, and God has favored our bourbon in so many ways. I could tell you story after story after story of how often the Lord has come to my aid to make this bourbon brand successful. But I don't want to go down that path, because it will be a long one, and we all have to get another bottle.
Amen to that. Amen to that, brother. Let's go to the most intriguing,
boys.
the most intriguing bourbon of your line. I use intriguing because it matches everything I expect from a bourbon. Badass bottle. Come with a medal to remind you that it is a badass bottle, because he has his own medal. Like Texas, everything is big and bold in Texas. Blue color, one of my favorite colors. 2020 San Francisco World Spirit Award, double gold winner on that. 115 proof, because here the truth is barrel proof. Is he has everything to make someone stop and check it out. This bottle right here is truly a work of art. Is imposing. This is a statement. That's how I feel. That's when I look at it. That's how I feel. And whatever award
color doesn't hurt either.
No.
And I would tell you right now, and this is my confession time. I've owned a bottle for a long time, since it came out, and I would tell you right now, I didn't want to open mine, because I'm telling you, it was just one of those bottles that I couldn't find anywhere around the Midwest, because we'll have this one. I could not find it. So when I found one, I'm like, I'm holding on to this one. You're here today, Dan. I'm opening.
Beautiful. It ain't hard, Jack. Drink it.
I will tell you right now, this is gonna be my first official opinion about this bottle. I know everything technically about the bottle.
While
I'm pouring, please tell the people about the Delmore.
Sure. Balmorhea is how it's pronounced.
Delmore. Okay.
When you use strange names like that for bottles, there has to be a good story behind it. And Balmorhea Park has the largest swimming hole in North America. It's spring fed, and the water is crystal clear, and you will see fish and animals and turtles and all sorts of different wildlife in the water that you'll never see anywhere else in the world, because they are only out there in West Texas at Balmorhea State Park. And so there may have been an occasion many years ago when I was young and crazy in love, and I may have thrown a towel over the fence to get into Balmorhea State Park to go skinny dip in the middle of the night with a beautiful woman who then became my wife. I can't validate that story. I can't tell you whether it's true or not, but it might have happened. And so when my master distiller Adonis brought me a nosing glass of that and said, "Get ready to try it, because it's a project we've been working on for."
Look at this color, Dan. Yeah. This is motor oil. This is not whiskey. This is motor. Is that dark?
It's aged in white American oak for 4 years from a cooperage in Louisville, Kentucky called Kelvin Cooperage.
Good old Calvin.
We
Good old
transfer the liquid to a second barrel that comes from the barrel mill up in Minnesota, and all that wood is sourced from Minnesota and Kentucky. So you have two completely different chemical compositions in those barrels, and those chemical compositions are what makes it so damn dark. And we hand selected all those barrels ourselves, and we know exactly how they were cooked and exactly how they were toasted, and we're never telling anybody because we think it's the best bourbon in the world. So that's how it's got its name. It was named after the state park, and every single time you buy a bottle of Balmorhea, you are donating $2 to our fund for Texas Parks and Wildlife, our nonprofit, which is called Good Bourbon for a Good Cause. And we are going to rebuild that park from the ground up starting in February of 2022, working hand in hand with Texas Parks and Wildlife to protect the native species and to make it a Texas icon. For hundreds of years, it was built in 1935 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. So Texas families have migrated to that park for well over 100 years, or almost 100 years. And we want to bring that park back to its glory. We're planting trees. We're building water features in the park. And it's going to be a beautiful, West Texas oasis out in the middle of the desert. And I hope you'll come visit it at some point.
Whoa. Tim, what do you think?
It's kind of throwing me through a loop because it's not your typical double.
It is not.
It's not your typical double-barreled bourbon, and I think that's kind of because.
Dan, I don't like this. I don't like when people try to confuse my palate. I don't like this.
You'll grow past that, I promise.
Did you taste this thing? Tim, did you taste this?
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm having a hard time. It's not bad. First of all, let me just start.
No, it's not.
It's not bad. It's very tasty, but it's confusing the shit out of me right now.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like when people confuse my palate. I'm usually good at just picking shit up just like that.
We wanted to do something that we knew no one could ever replicate. For 115 proof, that's pretty damn sweet, isn't it?
Okay. You know what this reminds me of is a candied apple, but not the caramel apples. The red candy apples. You got the Granny Smith apple with that red cinnamon candied.
The level of cinnamon,
yeah,
on the mid palate is like almost intriguing to the point where you want to. The only word you want to use is "what the fuck." What is going on here?
That's three words.
It's fruity. It's fruity and floral, but then it's just like sweet and spicy, just like
fast.
So that
like
was
if,
the American Whiskey of the Year.
Like there's a
4 years in
cinnamon
row,
stick.
Jim Murray's
There's a
listed on.
cinnamon stick with a baseball bat just.
Oh, say, can you see by the light? This will make you sing the national anthem. This is the whiskey that should be poured in the national anthem.
God bless. This is. Fuck,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Yeah,
dude.
I knew you'd like
Way
it.
to go.
It should be Garrison Brothers, Balmorhea. God bless America.
Kentucky meets Texas, man. I'm about that. I love Calvin Cooperage. I love everything that they do there.
Calvin does an amazing job.
I that's awesome that you guys partnered with them, and this is
hold on a second.
A damn fine whiskey.
Are you saying? Is he saying that it's like $79.99?
That bottle?
Yeah.
No, this has got to be more than that. No, it's got to be more than that. No, this has got to be more than that.
Because I'm like, if that's the case, I'm sure some people on this show watching the recast will probably finish your whole stock.
I saw it in a liquor store just 2 days ago, and they had it priced at $199.99.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
because I know my bottle. I bought my bottle at $199.
I bought the shit out of that bottle too.
Yeah, I bought my bottle at $199. Oh, he's talking about the honey. The honey $79.99.
Correct.
I will. Yeah, 179.99 is a Balmore. That's what he priced it in New York. And I will tell you right now. You know how I
It's kind of
how
got like a
we go through bottles, right? And we usually say, is this bottle worth a certain price, right? You go,
sure.
is it really, will I pay a certain price for a certain bottle? Then you got me on this one. I will pay 179 and above for this bottle. Like legitly, not because of the design, not because of the cause behind it. If you was purely on a blind taste, somebody tasted it and asked me, "What do you
Oh
think?
man.
How much would you pay for this bottle?" I say, "Yeah, 200." The it is rare in this industry to find a bottle that matches the price, because there's always some bullshit behind the bottle that makes you have to spend the money. But here, you proven in a good Texas fashion that Gary done. You got it done.
We don't believe in gimmicks. We believe in good bourbon, and that's all we're ever going to do. So I'm so glad you guys like it. As I often say when I'm doing interviews or speeches, is if you like it, please tell all your friends. If you don't like it, just keep that shit to yourself.
I will tell you one thing. I agree with that. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself. But I will tell you one thing. We haven't roamed around it. But are you guys, is Garrison Brothers exploring? Because there's a couple things that you guys came up with this year where I'm like, I think Garrison Brothers trying to explore. It's trying to go into places that they don't normally go. And that was another event, Dan, that made everybody drive to the distillery before some of us could see it on the shelf. And I'm talking about none other than this bottle right here.
Is that the port?
I'm so glad you got that bottle.
Oh, I don't got that bottle. I got that bottle and a backup of that bottle because.
Well done, Jack.
Oh yeah, I will tell you right now, Dan. Anytime there is a distillery event, I have to make sure that I only taste it, but I also have a backup of it, because no one drive to come and taste your whiskey unless you got something special out there. And this one is the Guadalupe.
Jack, you must know a guy, because that distillery release was one bottle per customer only.
You know what?
Bottles.
You know what, Dan? I will tell you right now. I may or may not know somebody out here in Texas. Maybe it's the sheriff. You don't know.
It's very well be. She buys a lot of bourbon.
And I would tell you right now, I love the fact that every distillery release, you guys make it special enough. Obviously, with this one, with the port one, you guys have the grape, which is the port wine grape, and obviously in there. And I'm looking at this, and tell me a little bit about your explore. I kind of, you guys need to start calling these the experimental release, because you have the port one. Obviously, the honeydew is very close to your heart,
right?
But the port one, what inspired that? I will be honest, I was scared for y'all. Sure, because port cask in the Texas heat, I'm like, this is not going to taste great. Right. I will tell you, I was the pessimist. I literally said, when people were like, what do you think about the Guadalupe? I'm like, oh, that shit gonna taste like literally swamp water. That's what it's gonna taste like. Don't go for it. But I was surprised that I had to recant on my statement and go, okay.
So in 2014, one of our volunteer bottlers happened to work at a North Texas winery and vineyard operation called Llano Estacado. And he said, hey, can we do a collaboration? How about I give you some casks of our wine? How about you give me some really wet casks of your bourbon, and I age my Cabernet Sauvignon in your bourbon casks, and we see what happens. And I said, you're on, man. Send me some casks too. So he sent me some Cabernet Sauvignon casks. And then everything sold out. Everything that we produced, it was called Estacado. The bourbon was called Estacado, and
I heard about it. And
sold
again,
out.
I'm looking at you, Dan, for detracting me from my Garrison Brothers experience. By the way,
Well, it was a
you're the
sad
reason
moment.
why I may move to Texas.
It was a sad moment because we couldn't get any more Estacado, because I called the president of the company a year later and I said, dude, that shit hit it out of the park at our end. He said, oh my God, on our end, we sold every single bottle of the Garrison Brothers barrel aged Cabernet Sauvignon that we did. And I said, well, then let's do it again. And he said, oh, well, we're doing it again. But it was so huge on our end, we decided to go with Maker's Mark instead of y'all. And I said,
no.
why did you decide to do that? And he said, well, they have more barrels than you do. And I said, how many barrels did you need? And the dude says, I needed 1,000. I said, I can do 1,000 overnight. Why didn't you even ask? And he didn't ask. And so Donis and I got together and we said, we're gonna one up this Estacado product. And Donna started collecting barrels of port from Portugal that were literally flown to us on a plane, so they would still be soaking wet with the port inside them. And it was expensive as hell to buy those barrels. Those barrels, I think, cost us something $700, $800 a barrel once you
Right.
the transport cost. And so Donna started doing it, and I loved the idea. I was really excited about it. And he was bringing in all these port casks over and over and over again, and filling them up. And once I tasted it, I was a true believer. He told me it was going to be good, but I had no idea how good it was going to be. And today, that's probably my favorite Garrison Brothers, even surpassing the Balmoret, just because it's lower proof. It's a 107, right? And at lower proof, you taste more of the ingredients. The higher proof,
Sure,
you taste
sure.
alcohol. And so I was blown away by it. And that distillery release is the biggest we've ever had. We literally had 2 miles of trucks and RVs lined up to get it, and we could only do 1 bottle per customer. And so people would go through the Chick-fil-A fast-paced line where you can check your bottles out, and then come back and get in line again and try to get a second bottle. And we ran out, and we always run out nowadays. It's become this crazy.
I will tell you right now. So since we're getting close in time, I have to ask, what can we expect? Because now you guys are confident in your product. You're confident in what you're putting out. You obviously start exploring. Bottle and Bond is something I know it may come out soon.
Jack, in Texas, we don't call it confidence. We call it swagger.
Swagger. Okay, you got that swag. Okay, you speaking my language. You got that swag. You know what's happening. You are putting out bangers after bangers. Port cask, the Guadalupe was the last one. Obviously, we're talking bottle and bond soon. What is next? What can we expect from Garrison Brothers coming out?
So I've already given away one secret, which is the bottle and bond project. All of our
I'm more curious about your exploration, because I like when you guys explore. The reason why is because I truly believe that that is you guys getting out of your comfort zone. It may work, it may not work, but at least you're getting out of your comfort zone.
So if I reveal the other secret project, which we call Operation X, my master distiller, Donis Todd, will take a Glock 9mm and put it to my head.
And put it to your head, and we don't want that.
So
we'll just call it X.
We'll just call it Project X.
Project X.
All right.
I guess the question is, are you thinking of doing any other wine cask? That would be the right question.
We are definitely thinking about that.
Because we did port, obviously, with the Guadalupe. Are you thinking of doing any other wine cask?
To put it in bourbon terms, we're not thinking about it. We had to make that decision 7 years ago. And we were thinking about that then.
Great little phrase I like. Don't talk about it, be about it.
Be about it.
Clearly all being about it.
Nice.
All right.
So you heard it here first. Dan, I promise you that you're only going to spend an hour here, and we'll let you go back to your beautiful bride. But I wanted to make sure that most people understand that people people pay attention to what you do. So if you wake up one day then and you feel like you guys are just doing the rigmarole, keep in mind that I'm from West Africa, and every time I drink something, a lot of people are obviously watching as well. People are paying attention to what you're doing. You are an inspiration to others in the industry. A lot of people pay attention to what you put out there. Um, you didn't know it till I started talking about it, but you have a lot of fans even internationally because I actually send your whiskey out to somebody in Africa, and they literally send me a message back and said, "What the fuck is that?" And what the fuck is that in African just mean this is delicious. So I want you to keep that in mind. That a lot of people pay attention to what you do, even if you don't know they are watching, and because you're true and you always keep something in mind while you're doing what you're doing. I cannot wait to see what come next. You This is Monday Sucks, but you are now part of our hood. You're also part of our family. And anytime something is out, obviously Blake does a great job to send communication. But if anything come out and you need us to talk about it, this is your home in the good Texas fashion. This is where you need to be. This is your house as well. If there's something you have to say, the floor is yours. You just have to ask, and we'll get you in to tell the people what you're out here doing.
Thank you,
Um,
Jack. I definitely appreciate
Congratulations on what you're doing. Congratulations on all these releases. For you guys out there, Garrison Brothers, small batch is where you need to start. If you're a beginner,
Oh
grab
my
yourself a
God,
small
that's
batch.
small batch.
Small
Get
batch. But I
out.
will tell you right now, if you're a cigar guy and you're thinking about having one of those spirit that just perfectly mash with your cigar, I'm telling you right now, grab that honeydew. You will not regret it. But if you're like me and you like to be confused and you like to sit down and go on a deep dive on a whiskey, the Belmore. But if you're an expert in whiskey and you actually want to either call Dan to tell him he's crazy or tell him he did an amazing job, grab the podcast, and I guarantee you will not be surprised. We are lucky in Nebraska that we had our single barrel last beginning in August of this year in Nebraska. We had our Garrison Brothers single barrel, and I told Dan the way is sounding and the type of person you are, we like to work with people. We always say we are people lovers first, and we are whiskey lovers second. We are people's lovers first and whiskey lovers second.
that's
For that
awesome.
reason, we are going to plan something special so we can bring some of the crew with us to come and see you. And hopefully, you will let us maybe take a 15-gallon barrel with us so Monday Sucks people can really know how.
Write our names down.
Write our name down. It's Monday
Write our
Sucks.
names
Is the
down on
show.
the back.
We will be there and make sure that we actually sit with y'all and pick something for Monday Sucks to remind them that there is amazing, amazing people working in the background to make sure that we get good whiskey. Obviously, from what you're saying, you care about your folks around you. You care about the people that works for you and around you. You care about making good whiskey, and obviously you care about making sure that everybody enjoy amazing whiskey, and that's what Monday Sucks about: education, people, and whiskey. So I cannot thank you enough for being here. You're now part of the family, like I mentioned, and anytime you want to jump on, you just have to say, "Yeehaw, I'm here."
Thank you, Jack. I eat all a lot. Tim, so nice to meet you guys. And I appreciate all the kind words. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping on. We appreciate you making time for us on this beautiful Monday. We know you are a busy man, and we appreciate you being here just supporting what we do out here and educating the people in the whiskey industry. Um, as in a good Texas fashion, roll tide, right?
Roll
What?
what?
You guys say roll tide?
Roll Tide's Alabama.
That's Alabama. Sorry.
No.
There,
A
yeah.
hokum? Is it hokum?
Hook 'em. There you
Holcomb.
go.
Holcomb is Holcomb for
Hook 'em.
Texas. I remember the first time we played Texas and Nebraska, everybody had to give me the Holcomb.
That was a great rivalry. Merry Christmas, and I appreciate being on your show. It's been a lot of fun, and go spend some time with friends and family and spread some love and some bourbon.
Absolutely.
Cheers,
Absolutely.
Dan. Appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
bud.
Thank you
great.
so much for being here.
Loved it.
Cheers.
Had a
And
blast.
thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Obviously, we talked to Dan from Garrison Brothers. I will tell you guys right now, the man is as humble for the amount of work he's doing, for things he's doing in the whiskey community. He is as humble as he comes.
Yeah, no
If
joke.
you guys are just joining us, we interview Dan Garrison. Is probably the most down to earth guest we ever had. The man doesn't look like he's running a multi-million company and making sure that we
Serious.
get good whiskey. He's just as simple as you see him. Soft-spoken. I didn't expect that. He's very soft-spoken, very, very straight to the point guy. No bullshit. And we know Monday sucks. We don't tolerate bullshit. And he really, 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 really is giving us something great. I promise him that we're going to be here for an hour and make sure that we keep in the timeline. We'll make sure that we do the afterglow on Instagram, and we'll move on to that right now. For all of you guys watching us right now, thank you for coming on Monday Sucks. If you want to actually jump in, make sure you jump on the afterglow and make sure that we catch up there. For all of you guys, we'll see you next Monday here on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Cheers.
Later, y'all.